Okay, we are back on the Sayless Projects podcast, and today I have Victoria, the great Victoria, with us. Victoria, say hello to the people.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
All right, Victoria. So third time's the charm. They don't need to know all the details, but we've been trying to make this happen. So I'm believing it's going to be a powerful one. Let's just get right to it. We'll start with you introducing yourself, how you got into running, where you're from, a little bit of background about you before we get into the other subjects.
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, my name is Victoria. I'm a runner, health and wellness professional, and I am a fitness instructor. So I teach Pilates. A little bit about how I got into running. I really dove into my running in college. Kind of used it as a stress reliever, with studies and all that type of stuff. And it was also another thing I did, just going through a lot of like family medical problems and stuff like that. So it was just a good outlet just to clear my mind and get some sun and be outside and separate my thoughts and distract myself with movement. So that's a little bit about how I got into running. What
Awesome.
did
I
I
love
miss?
it. When you started running, did you just like go by yourself or did you have a friend or community?
Yeah, for sure. So all of when I first started running, it was definitely something that I just did by myself. Only by myself. I never ran with people, um, really until I met one of my good friends and we started trying out run clubs. So I would say the majority of my running was just me trying to get out of my head and being by myself. So I'm super glad I found this community to run with. My runs are a lot more fun now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you now. I mean, obviously, we're part of the same running community, but there might be people who listen to this who aren't familiar with that part of your story. So, we're part of Oak Cliff Run Crew. And for you, what would you say are like some key differences between like you running by yourself and then what you have now with this community that you've created around yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the biggest differences of obviously like running by yourself and running with a group of people, something that I never really thought would happen is running by yourself. I kind of just used it to clear my head and kind of distract myself. Versus running with people, you end up making it, more personable and you kind of are, I don't want to say forced, but I mean, for me, it was kind of felt like that. I'd never really used to work out with people and talk about like how much I run. I'm like, I'm just trying to get through these miles. So I'm just happy I'm here today. And the people I'm talking to are on their 15th mile of the day. And I'm like, how do you have time for that? But these people, they tell you their day-to-day lives and it's really inspiring. And you start to be like, you know what, if they can run 15 miles today and still go to work, this 2 miles I got to do is a piece of cake, you know? So,
Mm.
um, definitely gets you in a different mindset for sure, running with a group and a community.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the mental health side of things, how does running help you with like your mental health? And also with the subject of why we're doing Say Less, what made you say less when we asked you to be a part of this year's relay?
Yeah, it was so easy to say yes. I was super excited that y'all gave me the opportunity to be a part of this awesome fundraiser. And the reason it was so easy to say yes is because, mental health is something that recently on my journey, I'm probably about 4 years into my own mental health journey. So the Victoria now is completely different. And I feel like even though everybody's at different stages, so not to say that I'm perfect or anything like that, but I do see the value in being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and sharing your story. So I think it's really important, especially being a Pilates instructor and being involved in the community. A lot of people in wellness are just that's the ongoing theme is a lot of people in health and wellness have their own battles, and it's something that we cover it up and make pretty like gym pics, gym videos, before and afters, like But this is the real thing. A lot of these people are in the gym and doing this stuff because they're using it as a distraction, or it's something for them to clear their mind. Like if they don't work out that day, they're going to have a bad day, you know? So I'm just happy to be able to share the more vulnerable side of this awesome community and industry that we're in. So yeah, that's why it was easy for me to say less.
Yeah, I love you peeling back that. We might have to dig into that here more in a second. I want you to share because like you said, today we see you as Victoria, who's Pilates instructor. I love seeing you do your reels and all your videos and stuff, but there was a journey that got you to this point and where you're at, and you don't have to go like all the way back to the beginning, but what are some things maybe in the last year or so that you've experienced that helped you kind of like overcome some hurdles and get into this place? Like, where were you at? What was it? What was it that you were going through that made you go, all right, enough is enough. I need to make some changes. And then what did you do to get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I think that some of the struggles that I had were just to be like general was negative self-talk.
Mm,
I think that a lot of it was thinking that I wasn't worthy to be in these situations, or even um, what is that called? Like self-sabotage. I don't think a lot of people talk about that because you do all these things, and like for me, I was the first one in my family to graduate college. So that was like a really big step in being in that space. I didn't really have any family or anything like that to lean to get advice or how to do all these things that encompasses. So um and it doesn't have to be like first person in college. It could be like the first one trying to set a career for yourself or have this path, and it can be so much pressure. And I think that that was something that I was really falling short, was all this pressure, and it I couldn't really handle it. So I would self-sabotage and do all these things, but I think that was the main thing that I struggled with. So yeah, I think once I realized, you know what, my voice and my power of saying what I want out loud and what I want for myself, and I think it's very powerful. So I always try to make sure that if I'm having those thoughts again, I backtrack and I'm like, hold on, why would I feel like this one? You know, it's just practicing good habits over and over again. So I think that's something that I had to teach myself, and in some instances I had to learn the hard way to be able to build those habits. But the good thing is you make mistakes and you don't have to make them again. You know, you can learn from them. You can learn from other people. So yeah, that's something I don't really talk about, but it's something that I dealt with. And just making sure you tell yourself over and over again, you are worth it. You deserve everything that you want, and it's all possible. All these crazy things that you think of, even if you don't know exactly what they are, just put time and effort into everything that interests you, sparks joy, because the more energy you put into that, the more it goes back at you. So I think that's really all I've been doing differently is talking to myself nice, being nice to my body, moving my body even when I don't want to. It makes a huge difference. So I would say discipline is one of the biggest things that have brought me here. I hope I
that's
answered that
awesome.
question.
No, yeah, you actually, I was going to ask you another question, but you actually already went into it of just like, what do you do to take care of your mental health? Because I love what you just pointed out that people see, you know, those of us who are living an active lifestyle and documenting it. And really, at the end of the day, I think the heart behind all of us doing that is because we've seen how good it has been for us. Like we've seen the changes that it's made in our lives, and like any good thing, you don't want to hide it. You know, you want to share it with
Hmm.
others in hopes that, hey, if this helped me, like I think it could help my family, my friends. And I think that for most people, that's the root. Of course, there's always that person who's maybe doing it for selfish reasons or something like that. But I think the majority of
Yeah.
us are really trying to just put the light out there, put some hope out there for others. But to your point, a lot of us are doing these things, these runs or these other things because it helps us with our problems. And I think just getting into that, it's like we have problems. Like we're both of us are willing to admit that we're not going to sit here on this podcast and act like we got our all of our stuff put together. That's why we're doing this is to grow and learn and support each other. So thank you for pointing that out. Now let's get into the, like kind of the relay part of things. So what are you excited about? What are you nervous about when it comes to this journey from Dallas to Austin?
Um, a lot of thoughts. I'm excited about a lot of stuff and I'm nervous about a lot of stuff. I would say that I'm super excited to go on this crazy journey with a group of my friends that I do runs with all the time. So I'm super stoked about that. I'm excited that I feel like this is something I really have a passion for. So even though it's going to be a long run, and also I've never done even a marathon. So the longest I've only done about 120-mile run. So this is going to be the first time I'm running something like this.
Mm,
So I'm a little nervous about that, but I know I'll get it done. I got the right group, and like I said, mindset is everything. So I know that I'm moving for a purpose, and uh, so I'm excited about that. I am nervous. Let's see. Obviously, we don't have control over everything, right? So there's no point in little miscellaneous stuff like the smell in the van or all this. Anything can happen. Everything's possible. So I'm just excited to see what happens and handle it and still get the job done and have fun with all these people and change up the scenery, get some hills. So I think more excitement than nervousness now. We're here. It's here.
yeah, we're very close. What do you hope people, in particular to you, when people see you do this and you're a part of this, what are your hopes that your family, friends, strangers, what do you hope that they get from this or inspired to do because of your efforts?
So that's a good question, Vince. So I think that the main takeaway that I would like people to see from this run is how important community is. And obviously movement, right? It's important to move our body. We're running to Austin, but most importantly, it's the people that are going to work together to complete this task. I mean, all the filming crew and everybody working together and having a passion, like that is something that a lot of people don't have in their lives. And I think that surface level, when they see this type of stuff, they think, how do these people find all these friends to do this crazy stuff with? And I want people to know that if you just put yourself out in these situations, like I said, chasing things that you like to do, going to that yoga class, going to the Pilates class, you're going to eventually find these people that you can do crazy stuff with. It doesn't even have to be
Hmm.
crazy, it's just us being crazy. But it's possible to find your community even if you feel super alone and you feel like, man, I've never had that. Um, all you got to do is make a little change and those people, they're waiting for you. So yeah, community is what I want people to take away from this.
I love that. I've often told people, like when someone feels, because I've been in this position and we all have, but when you feel lost or you feel like you don't know what to do, I think one of the best things you can do is like look for a group of people that are doing something and just get around them. And you're like a prime example of that. I remember meeting you and now watching you kind of like find your place in a community. And now you're like going beyond that community, starting your own community, building your own resume, building your own future. And as we close, I just even want to lead that into acknowledging just I'm proud of you as your friend and as part of this community with you. It's been really cool to watch you build your story. And I always tell this to all the people close to me, like we have no idea who we're becoming. Like you had no idea when you did that first run at Oak Cliff Run Crew that would turn into now you have like best friends, and then that turned into you're running from Dallas to Austin and you're a Pilates instructor. So like if you keep going, like imagine how much more, because it just stacks and it compiles and then it becomes this like crazy thing to most people where they look at it and they're like, how in the world? But your answer will just be, I just kept showing up. I just kept doing the things that I felt the nudge to do. And like you're a prime example of the result of that. So can't wait to see what you do with the team. I know you're going to be probably the most energetic of all of them and bringing the passion and motivation. So we'll see you on the road to Dallas to Austin.
All right, Vince, thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm super excited to be a part of all this, so can't wait. I can't wait.
All right. We'll see you.
All right, thanks, Vince.